In this episode, we're going to talk about Charlottesville City's new zoning ordinance that City Council just passed right before Christmas. You're not going to want to miss this episode because it will affect everyone who is going to be living in the city of Charlottesville, like in the city proper, and also the surrounding communities around Charlottesville. So let's dive deep into this new episode. Thanks for joining me. My name's Craig Massie, and I am a local real estate agent out here in Charlottesville area. This is my second episode. Thank you for joining me in all of these episodes. I've only done one, and this will be the second, but I just want to say thank you. This is going to be a weekly show where usually every Thursday I'm going to try to drop new episodes. I'll be recording them on Thursday and then dropping them on Thursday as well. Now, in this one, I want to quickly go over how this zoning ordinance will change the landscape for the future and how it will make all of us, it's for the better. As far as what I am looking at, is for the better that this happened. There's a lot of people out there who are upset as well, but a lot of people are for it, and this is why. So let's just dive deep into this issue with the zoning. So I pulled up some stats, and how I like to do it is I'll basically just tell you a little history of Charlottesville. Since let's go all the way back to 1990, there's been about 40,000 people who have lived in Charlottesville proper. Now, if you didn't know, Charlottesville, you have the incorporated part of Charlottesville, which is Charlottesville City, and that's about, I want to say 7 square miles or 10 square miles, and that's the city, and that's where we're going to be talking about. That's like where UVA is, where the downtown mall is. That is the city. Now, all around that is Charlottesville, but it's a part of Albemarle County, so it's being ran by the county. The zoning ordinance is for the city of Charlottesville. Okay, so we got that off. Now, this downtown proper, since 1990, it has had 40,000 to 46,000 people living there from 1990. That's if you go back in the census. It cannot go any higher than probably 46,000. And the reason for that is because there's just not enough housing. You just can't put any more houses in here to have the population go up. Now, yes, people can start living in the same rooms with other people and then the population can go up, but it cannot go up any higher. Now, if you go all the way back to 1970, Albemarle County, so in 1970, they had a population of 37,000, okay, in 1970. Since then, right now in 2021 of the latest census data I have, we have 113,000. Okay, so we went from 37,000 in 1970, and if you look at a map, it's just a straight up trajectory going up. And the reason for that is because it's just going straight up. The city could not get any bigger, so people had to move around the city in Albemarle County. They said, well, we can't move into the city because there's no room for us, so we're going to go all around it. And it's just been going up, 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 up. Charlottesville has finally said, you know what, we also need to go up, 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 up. We need to start building to allow more people to live in our city. And that's where this zoning map, the new ordinance, comes from. Now, the major drastic changes are they're changing zoning residential, so if you're in a zoning residential area, that's R1 or R2, you now are going to be categorized in RA or RB. What that means is you can have up to, if the lot size allows it, and there's no covenants and restrictions on certain parts of the area, you can have up to 4 dwelling units if they're able to allow that. So you go from an R1 where you can only have 1 residence on there. That's what residential R1 standing for. R2, you could have 2 residential. Now you can have almost up to 4 dwelling units on that single property, and it can be certain levels. I think it was 3 levels or 4 levels for RB. And I'll drop in the show notes the whole new zoning ordinance packet. I'll drop that in the show notes for you if you want to take a look at it. So basically what they're doing and what Charlottesville has done is they've now not just changed like a street. They haven't changed a okay, this street can now have up to 4 dwelling units. They've basically just said, hey, if you're an R1, you can now have up to 4 dwelling units. And so what that is going to allow is for either someone to tear down a home and put up a brand new fourplex, or a condo building, apartment building. And a lot of people are upset at that, and I get that, because you could look at these neighborhoods that have been around since our nation was founded, and they potentially, you could see those houses being torn down and then like a big apartment complex or a big 4-story building put up where those homes are. Do I see that happening? No, of course not. No one's going to go and tear down a really nice big huge home that was built back in the 1700s to put in an apartment complex. That's not going to happen. What will happen is in the city, there's a lot of these buildings. They're super old. They have been rentals forever. They haven't been well maintained. They've just been coat after coat of paint has been going on them. Those homes right there, they may get torn down and a new duplex put in, or a fourplex, or a new condo building. I can see that happening. But these big, huge buildings that have well-established neighborhoods with trees and things, I don't think anything happening to them. And a lot of people, in fact, one person during the city council vote, he said, this is the biggest vote that is happening in our nation that has to do with housing. One person said something like that. I'm not quoting him, but he did say something into that regards. And I'd have to say that's not true. Up in Northern Virginia, Arlington, they just got rid of the residential zoning altogether. I think it was Arlington. They just said, hey, we're no longer are we going to have the residential zoning. That's no longer a thing. And so that's kind of what we're moved towards. We didn't go that extreme to where we're not, we're just axing residential. We're now getting to the point of, though, that the city needs to have more housing, and without these bigger developments, we just can't do it. Without these new zoning laws, it just can't happen. I mean, if you look, we've been at 40,000 population since 1990, I think we're at 46 right now, and it can't go up. It can't go any higher. Our city has drastically grown, and you can see that by all the surrounding cities around. They are now just being built out. There's like take Crozet, for instance, or Zion Crossroads, Spring Creek, over in those areas. You see these massive developments because people have to live somewhere, and they'll drive into the city. Now, how that affects traffic. If you live in Crozet and you work in the city, you know that there's traffic during the traffic hours. Now, I've lived in traffic cities. I've lived in Los Angeles. I know all about traffic. And the traffic out here is not like that, but it is getting to that point of where we need to start widening roads. We need to start doing all of this unless we can house more people in the city. And that's what we're starting to do now. Now the city's saying, okay, let's stop building around in Albemarle County, stop growing that, and let's grow the city proper. Then people don't have to drive so far. They can actually live in the city, because a lot of people want to live in the city, but they just can't. There's just not enough housing. That's what this episode is kind of about. I'd love to talk a little bit more about it, but I keep these episodes short, about 10 minutes. This one, it just, I'm happy for it. I think that the city needs to get bigger as far as more density for housing. There's just not enough to make affordable housing available. A lot of people are upset that this might change affordability, but the more housing we have, the more affordable homes will become. There are only 3 factors that can deal with housing. Your interest rates make affordability. If lower interest rates, homes are more affordable. More homes on the market makes homes more affordable. And just the new construction that they build affordable housing. This can do that. That's pretty much the only way you can make homes more affordable out here, and Charlottesville is going in that right direction. All right, next episode. I'm looking forward to this whole year. It's 2024. Just looking super excited about it, and I'm hoping that you stick with me all through 2024. I'll be talking more about the cities, more about Crozet, more about, that's where I work and live, more about just everything real estate, everything the city. I'll be talking with people who work around here, businesses, and just tell you all about them. And in fact, did you know we have a new flower boutique out here in Crozet? No? Well, let me do a podcast episode on it. That's what I'm hoping to get from this episode or this podcast series. So thanks again for joining me, and we'll do another one next week. It's a weekly thing, so don't forget to hit subscribe. Email me if you have more questions about this zoning thing. I would love to answer all of your questions. But thank you for joining me on this episode.